I never meant for any of this to happen.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is out, and I have to say, this and No Way Home are giving me hope that the MCU is going to rebound. I think there was a pretty significant downgrade in the films Marvel was putting out between the last two Spider-Man movies, Far From Home and No Way Home. And speaking of, Sam Raimi makes his big return to the Marvel Universe for the first time since 2007 Spider-Man 3 in the Multiverse of Madness. I like Raimi's style of directing a lot. I love the horror elements in this film, and not all the humor felt like the generic Marvel humor that the last few MCU movies have fell into the habit of. I think the humor has gotten to the point where it's just obnoxious at points, but I think this movie mostly avoided that by blending the MCU's humor with Sam Raimi's. You can definitely tell this is a Raimi film, and there's a certain charm to that. I also have to mention the score. It was absolutely phenomenal, possibly my favorite of any MCU movie. It was diverse, and the music chosen always fit the scene or the moment pretty perfectly. It was just a vibe all the way throughout. Although I'm used to seeing Scarlet Witch as the villain for most of my life, it did feel a bit odd starting out in this movie. I guess because she had mostly just been a hero in this universe. Also, I never watched WandaVision, so I'm sure that's where some of my initial confusion came from. Aside from No Way Home, I think Wanda is the best villain in any MCU movie post Far From Home. Also a massive upgrade from the villain in the first Doctor Strange. The multiverse is obviously a massive part of the movie, but there is a lot of spiritual magic in this, and by that, yes, I basically mean possession. Something called dreamwalking is a big part of the movie. It's an interesting concept, and how it ties into the multiverse was a smart move given the circumstances. I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, so I guess we can dive into characters real quick. Doctor Strange was great as always. Benedict Cumberbatch really just owns this role. And he, along with Spider-Man, are probably my favorites as of now from the heroes currently active in the MCU. The supporting character, America Chavez, is really the crutch of this whole film. Without her, there wouldn't be a way to access the multiverse to begin with, which is an interesting choice to say the least. I didn't love the character, but I didn't hate her. I've already said Scarlet Witch was good as the villain. Wong doesn't get a ton to do, but what he does do in this film I do enjoy. I always love him and Strange bouncing off one another. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Patrick Stewart's Professor X makes an appearance, and of course it's terrific. There are some surprises that happen throughout that I won't touch on here. I think it's pretty unique when it comes to what you'd view as an MCU movie. This film so obviously having Raimi's imprint on it makes me think of what Ant-Man could have been if Edgar Wright had stayed on the project. I love the feel, I really enjoy Raimi's style of directing, I love the horror aspects. There are a few problems I had. It takes a little while to really get into the film. Most of the first 20 minutes or so are just one big battle, setting up only part of what this movie is about. And it's more of the 5 minutes that aren't the actual battle is what sets it up. It felt like an action scene that just went too long. There were some characters who deserved more than they were given, but this is now the multiverse, so I guess that's not too big of a deal. There's always future movies they could reappear in, or shows they could appear in. Overall, I think it's a good movie with some great moments, but it never quite reaches that peak for me. For a letter grade, I'm going to give it a solid B. I could see myself maybe enjoying this more on rewatch. I'm a fan of how the film is made and absolutely love the score. Hopefully this is a sign of the MCU getting back on track, and if Thor: Love and Thunder is as good as this, my anticipation for the rest of Phase 4 will significantly increase. Let me know what you thought about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Did you like it? Did you not? Do you think it's one of the better MCU movies in recent years? Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed. It really helps the channel out. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.